live stream. Welcome to those who are watching in YouTube live stream and also Facebook Live. Okay, so good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's Career Crash Course series from ZZG. And welcome everyone who are here for the very first time. Thank you very much for those who have started to uh, reply to my message a while ago. I'd like to welcome everybody from different parts of the country. Well, starting with Ian, who is from Cebu. Maayong gabi sa'yo. And we have Dr. Rico and Benny, physician from Marikina. We have Romina, a teacher from Cebu City also. We have Alex, an engineer from Taguig. We have Osang from Pateros, a medical insurance specialist. We have Nika, who is in healthcare from Mandaluyong. We have also another doctor, Dr. Bedit Pajares, who is a vet from Laguna. Good evening. We have Maria Luisa, who is also a physician from Cagayan de Oro City. Wow, welcome. We have Jane Banyas, also from Manila. We have Burrito. You are from the foot of Mayon volcano. Diyos maray na banggi sa Indo. Yeah, we have Jamie, a psychometrician from Marikina. And Dr. Roel Tolentino, of course, our celebrity doctor. You're on video. He's waving now. We also welcome Dr. Mary Ann, and we also welcome Tita Nessie Teada from Milan. Buonasera. We also have, of course, our CCG co-founder, Ryan Fernandez. And we also have another Bicolana by the name of Maria Teresita Rico. Diyos maray na banggi ulit sa inyo. Chad and Jovi from Cavite. Wow, we have a lot of people from different backgrounds. And of course, Ariel Dres from Alabang. We have also Jonalyn from Parañaque. Another doctor, Dr. Rachel Casea from Olongapo. Aris Corpus from Cebu City. And we also have Brenda from Davao. We also have an IT professional, Titus Manuel, from Quezon City. So welcome everybody. Welcome Miss PJ and another doctor, Dr. Ada Coroza, and her son, Aldous. So I think I'll be welcoming more later, a lot more of our guests, and you feel free to chat and also interact with our speaker in the chat room. You may want to do that. We will be putting everyone else on audio mute, but enjoy chatting in this room or giving your reaction. So I don't want to take much of this time, I'd like to give you a quick intro of our speaker tonight. Her background is she is an entrepreneur already. Actually, she has a business and she is also a student from Miriam College. So she is the eldest daughter of a physician, and also they're based in Marikina. So do please help me welcome Miss Sabina Santos. Hi, Sabina.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me loud and clear?
I can hear you loud and clear, Sabina.
How about my slides? Good. All right. So, hello, everyone. My name is Sabina, and you can call me Sab for short. Today, we'll be talking about the book called The Answer. And first and foremost, I would just like to cover the reason why I decided to choose this book as my talk for this month. And I don't know about you guys, but I think that we are right in the cusp of a significant change in society right now. And don't you agree that this is the best time for us to reevaluate things, to reflect on our lives, and to reinvent ourselves? So you can comment down in the chat box what you think. It would be better for us to have more engagement. So yeah, there you go. Now, before we begin, I would just like to clarify as well that I am by no means endorsing myself as an expert in goal setting just yet. But as Jonel has mentioned earlier, I am still a student and I have much to experience in life. And what I am here for today is to learn, just like you guys are here for to learn. Because apparently, the more we teach something, the more we learn it. And that is my main reason for this talk as well. And so we come to the real experts of goal setting, and that is the authors of this book, Allan and Barbara Pease. Now they are by profession, they are mainly writers and speakers. And if you have already read the book, in the last chapters, chapter 14 and 15 actually, they'll be talking about their story. And it was so powerful and so inspiring that the first time I read these chapters, there were tears rolling down my cheeks. And that's just how powerful it was. So I highly suggest that you guys grab a copy of the book as well so that you can read those chapters, because I think that their story is best told through their voice. And yeah, so what are we going to talk about tonight? Well, here are the pointers, and we have 12 of them. If you have already read the book, you'll notice that I kind of jumbled the chapters a bit. But don't worry, the only major difference is that I placed chapter 6, which is take responsibility for your life, and place it into number 2 of my discussion points for tonight. And the reason for that will be covered as well later. And yeah. Okay, and then the other differences are just minor ones wherein I combined the chapters or separated them. So what better way to start our discussion for tonight than to discuss first the best kept secret of this book, the reticular activating system. Now we have here in this slide is a quote, and what I would like for you guys to do is for you to read this quote out loud to yourselves, so that as of now, we are starting to feed our reticular activating system with more positive thoughts that can be reinforced later on. So I'll read it with you guys. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the body can achieve, by Napoleon Hill. So what is the reticular activating system? Well, are you guys up for a little biology lecture for tonight? Well, the reticular activating system is a system in our brains. It's a collection of neurons and neural fibers that are responsible for collecting all the external stimuli that we receive from our external world. And this system of our brain has two parts, and that's the ascending RAS and the descending RAS. And that is the end of my biology lecture, because if you really want to know more about the RAS, the specifics of the brain, then you'll have to contact your local biology teacher. But let me try again for another history lecture. The RAS was discovered in 1949, and this was at the University of Pisa, and two researchers, H.W. Magoon and what was his name? Let me look at my notes for a bit. Yeah, H.W. Magoon and Giuseppe Moruzzi. They were studying they studied the sleep-wake mechanisms of the brain, and this research led to the eventual discovery of the RAS. But why is the RAS important for goal setting? And we will come to that right now. And so the RAS acts as the brain's main center of command and control. As I have mentioned earlier, this is where all the stimuli of our external world is collected. And did you know, guys, that for every second, we process 400 million bits of information, and that only 2,000 of this information are processed by us consciously. And in other words, this means that 99.999% of all the information that we receive goes largely unnoticed by us. And do you think this is bad? I think it's good, because if we were to process 400 million bits of information all at the same time, I think that we'd go crazy. We'd pass out. How would we be able to deal with everyday life like that? So this is a good evolutionary process, what the RAS has become. And so, as I have said, it filters the information that we receive from our external world. And so it operates like a search engine and functions like a sorting office. Just like when we search in Google or DuckDuckGo or what have you, we enter a keyword, and what the results that we get are the most relevant, the most important. And that's what the RAS does. It filters the most important data that we need to, that is important to us, that we are more focused on. And how does the RAS determine what's important? Well, that is by what we focus on the most. And have you heard, guys, about the quote, "What we focus on expands"? Well, exactly. The RAS utilizes a GPS system. We all know how the GPS system works, and what we do is that we input where we want to go, the place, the destination. We don't think about the how, because the system takes care of that. And that's exactly what the RAS does. And as a filter, it produces the most relevant information for us, and that's the only thing we notice. And how is that relevant to us? Well, the RAS also hugely affects our belief systems, because the more we focus on something, the more the RAS looks for proof of what that belief is. The more we say something to ourselves, like, for example, I'm not good in public speaking. And the more we say that, the more the RAS gathers proof for this belief of yours. So the more proof you see, the stronger your belief becomes. And when your belief is so strong, the more you talk about this self-talk to yourself, the more you feed your self-talk, this negative self-talk. And the cycle goes on and on and on. That's why it is really important for us to reprogram our RAS. And that is very, very possible. Now, the next chapter is take responsibility for your life. And this is supposed to be chapter 6 in the book, but I place it at chapter 2 because I think that all that the book has to offer doesn't really matter to us if we didn't really want to take responsibility of our lives, if we didn't want to be in the driver's seat of our lives. Because why would you even be in this webinar if you're not interested in that, in self-growth, in having more, being more? And here is the quote for us in this chapter, and that is, destiny is what you create for yourself. Fate is when you fail to create your own destiny. It's by Sadhguru. And isn't this interesting? Well, destiny and fate, these two terms we most often use these terms interchangeably. And what here in this quote, it just says that there's a difference. Destiny is what we create for ourselves, and fate is when we fail to do something about our lives, to change it. And is this you guys? How are you guys? You don't have to comment down below if you're frustrated or dissatisfied, but just to yourself, admit it. Are you frustrated or are you dissatisfied by any means? So I think this is one of the reflection points here tonight. And as I go along in my talk, I have three major questions that I would like for you to reflect on. And question number one is there something more you want out of your life? Yeah, I think we all here do, because we're here, we're learning something new, and we're all for self-growth. But you have to reflect on that on yourself. And for this chapter, what the book says is that if you can read it with me and maybe replace you with I. So why I am where I am and why I've got is because I've been repeating the same ways of thinking and behaving. And yes, I am responsible. Now, what does this mean? Well, alongside this book, I have also read another book. It's called Inner Engineering by Sadhguru. And these two books really tie together well because they speak about living lives with utmost joy. And with the answer, it's more on the logical side. And in Inner Engineering, it covers more of the spirituality of life. And in Inner Engineering, we have this very, very, very wonderful formula. And I think it best describes taking responsibility. And responsibility is equal to response plus ability. And what does this mean? It is our ability to respond, taking responsibility. It is not about blame, and never about blame, because in life, some things just happen and we don't know why. And if we focus on these negative aspects of life and become blamers, become complainers, then what we're really doing is that we're handing other people control over our lives. And that is the beauty of this formula: response plus ability, the ability to respond. And another, most authors also say this, and as well as the most successful people in the world. And one of those is Viktor Frankl, author of A Man's Search for Meaning, another great book, highly suggest as well. And what he says there is that the last of the human freedoms is to choose one's own attitude over a given set of circumstances and to choose our own way. So they say exactly the same thing, to take responsibility of our lives, to take control. So I have a question. Do you really want your life to change for the better? Well, we've got to do the change because don't you agree, guys, that the only person we can truly, fully have 100% control over is ourselves. Can we change others? No, I don't think so. And so we may not be doing things according to our wishes. We may not be thinking according to our wishes, but be aware that we are capable of this. We are capable of controlling our lives. So we have to do the change. And what are the ways to do this? Well, number one is stop making excuses. And number two, quit complaining. Now, I mentioned these two at the same time because they're very, very well connected. And what do we do when we make excuses? We blame others. We place the control of our lives on others, and we lose control over that. And what we really do when we make excuses is that what we really do when we make complaints is that there is something more that we want. There is a result that we want, but we are not prepared to take action to rectify this. And that is very, very negative thinking. These two are small thinking habits, making excuses and complaining. So what we do is that we choose our own circumstances. And how is that? Well, we decide what we want. So let's read this again. Life is too short to be living somebody else's dream. Now, do you agree with me here, guys? We only have this one life, and are we really going to waste it living somebody else's dream? And that is what most of us are doing right now. But what stops people? Well, it's past programming. Maybe you have maybe all these happened to you, or maybe some did. But what we have realized with the RAS is that we can change our programming. We can reprogram ourselves. And yes, these are very unfortunate, and they shouldn't have happened to you. But what we can do is that we can take responsibility. We can choose how to respond to these problems and to grow. It's either we use them as stumbling blocks or stepping stones. It's really a choice, guys. So how do we decide what we want? Well, first we grab a pen and jot down anything that has ever appealed to us. Anything. When we're doing this activity, we don't think about the how, we just think about the what. And like what I mentioned earlier about the RAS, we just have to know what we want. For goal setting, that is the first thing that we have to do. We don't have to know everything about the how just yet. The RAS can take care of that. And second, we need to create a goals book. It is a must. Pictures, statements, and of course, deadlines. Now, this is very important because our brains think in pictures. And what better way to fortify what we have written as goals, but to add pictures to them so that we better internalize our goals. And number three, we ask ourselves, what is the one thing that I would love to do so much that I could do it for free, but I can also get paid for? Now, this question is the basis of most of the successful entrepreneurs today, the basis of their business, of their successful business. And if we reflect on this question, we'd be able to discover one of our life's mission. And that would be very, very fulfilling. So the next step is to write them down. This is very important, and I'd like you guys to read with me as well. When we write down our dreams, we transform what we imagine into reality. Now, what does this mean? Well, have you heard about the spaghetti principle? Well, what it is that in our brains, our thoughts are all jumbled up, and we have difficulty in organizing them when they're just in there. And so what do we do? What we do is that we take some paper, and then write down our thoughts. Now, it doesn't have to be organized at first, but we just write down whatever it is that we're thinking about. Haven't you done this before when you were terribly upset and you wrote down what you were feeling, you felt better, even if just a small bit, you felt better? And that is what the spaghetti principle talks about, is that when we write down our thoughts, we organize them, and we can better understand where they're coming from. And so this question is a very, very genuine concern of the young generations today that have grown up with technology and gadgets and smartphones. Handwritten versus typewritten, which is better? Well, here we go. Handwriting involves up to 10,000 movements. It creates thousands of neural paths in your brain, while typewriting involves only 8 different finger movements and only a small number of neural connections in your brain. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I think the answer is obvious, and of course, handwriting wins. And sometimes going natural is just the best way. And now we have a little bit of an exercise. You can go ahead and grab whatever piece of paper that is near you right now, and a pen. And I would like for you guys to just write down any goals, anything that you want. Just at the top of your mind, what is it that you really want right now? And I think I can give you about 5 minutes for that. And you don't worry about the how just yet. Just go and focus on the what, on what you want. And I think that we really, really, really should be doing this more often. But don't worry for the melancholics right there. It doesn't have to be organized yet. You just have to write. This is just an exercise to stimulate your brains for us to, as of now, be using our RAS, and so that later on we'd reinforce this with more techniques that we can use. And yeah, so 5 minutes to write down your goals, or what is it you want. 5 minutes. 8:33. I'll go and resume talking by 8:30. I had to think about this. Ha ha ha. Okay. Now, if you're wondering, guys, I can't see the comment section. I'm not really a techie person, and I forgot to ask Jonal about this. I can't see your comments, guys, but if you would like to share what you have written, you can always do share. But if it's too personal, it's okay. Just admit it to yourself that you want these things.
Hi, Sabina, Ryan here. I can help. I think John is
okay.
working the YouTube live. but
Yeah.
allow me to read some of the comments, and there are a lot. So,
Ooh, that's great.
and feel free to type, anyone. We've got
Yeah, please do so.
Maria Teresita saying handwritten message is much appreciated than an email.
Yeah, totally.
Charisse Yap says handwritten still better.
Mm.
So we have some old school people in the room.
Yes.
This one's from Jamie. Jamie says, when we complain, we prolong the problem on hand. If we choose to stop complaining and take full responsibility, is when we move forward from it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Tito says, choose your own circumstances.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Bertito Laganson says, this speaker has a great future in her life.
Oh, thank you.
Would you agree?
Thank you.
Okay. Dr. Wells says, pag Miriam Cottage, magaling talaga.
Wow. Doc, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we'll have another minute. Is everyone done?
Anyway, let's wait for others to chime in.
Okay.
And this is from Rhoda Arroyo. Congrats, Sabina.
No.
Writing slows us down, allowing more time for the brain to absorb more information.
Mm.
And Ariel Driz says, low tech before high tech when thinking.
Yes, exactly.
And Revanth Madikunta says, I believe writing messages with hand makes us more connected.
Yeah, it does. It really is more special.
Yeah. Rocky Abad says, I still write letters to my love regularly.
Oh, that's so nice. That's so nice. Yeah. Continue to do so, please.
Someone would like to let you know, Sabina, that your professor is in the webinar.
Oh my God. Oh, hello.
You're doing great.
Welcome.
Yeah, you're doing great.
I'm sure your professor is very proud of what you're doing right now. Yeah. Hannah Kloma says, I always have a pen and notebook with me when thinking. And Puella says, handwritten notes are more personal and sincere.
Yes.
Yeah. We have someone watching from Milan, Italy, Nessie. Nessie says, no quitting is a success.
Yeah. That's actually a step.
Yeah. Anyway, so all of you guys in the chat box.
Okay, I think I'll continue now because I still have 700 more slides to go. Okay. So here we go. This is chapter 5, and set goals and create plans with deadlines. Now, I'd like you to read with me as well. Again, a deadline is to your goals what the trigger is on a gun. It's by the authors of this book. And do you have that paper? Like whatever you have written, don't worry about it, guys. You can reformat it. You can re-edit it again later. And but what I'd like for you guys to do right now is to categorize these goals that you have written and list them according to A, B, or C. A are the things that are most significant to you right now, those that you are very, very sure of and you'd like to achieve very soon. And B are the things that are significant to you right now, but still need more consideration from you. And then C are the things that you feel are fun or challenging to attempt. Now, you can just have a screen cap of this because I think that this needs more reflection than the writing of the goals, okay? So I think that you'd better do it later. All right. So here we are. These are the guidelines to efficient goal setting. And number 1 is to quantify your goals in clear, measurable terms with specific dates, times, amounts, outcomes, etc. Now, the things that you have written earlier, you can revise them with these guidelines. And number one is to quantify our goals. And for example, we want to lose weight, and we can't just say that we want to lose weight. That doesn't have any strength at all. Would you want are you going to be pushed by that goal? I want to lose weight. That's it. So what we do is that we quantify our goals with specific dates or time or the amount. And for example, in that you want to lose weight, well, you can say that I would like to lose 5 kilograms by, let's say, September 2021. Okay, and then that is a more specific goal. Now, number two is to state them in the positive, because remember, we think our brains think in pictures. Well, the rest can process negatively stated goals. When we say that we won't do something, then it doesn't really know what to think about. So what we do is we think about the person we want to become or what we want to have, and that makes for a better goal. And for example, for the earlier example that I gave you, and I said that I want to lose weight, I want to lose 5 kilograms by September 2021. Well, to state them in the positive, we would have to change that. Well, suppose that you are 60 kilograms today and you want to lose 5 kilograms. So to state them in the positive, you would say, I am going to be 55 kilograms by September 2021. Now, isn't that more manageable for our brains, for our RAS? We can picture it more clearly. And yeah, number three is make them tangible. We have to take steps to experience glimpses of our accomplished goals physically and emotionally. And what does this mean? We have to feel it. Remember the goals book. We have to visualize us accomplishing our goals. And there is an example of this. It's a perfect one, and it's from a talk by a person, a really successful entrepreneur called Ray Keller, and his goal was to have an airplane. And what he did so that he would be more inspired by his dream, and so that he won't be defeated by all the obstacles he was encountering in life. Well, what he did was that he bought airplane gasoline. What do you call it? Aerosol? I don't know, but he bought that, and every day, every morning, he smelled it, so that he could imagine being in a hangar in a hangar full of airplanes. And what else did he do? Well, he built an airstrip because he was a farmer. He lived in a farm, and he built an airstrip on his own. And later on, I'll touch up more on this, but that is what we can do. We can do the simple things like the goal setting and the goals book, the dream book. That is very important. Every successful people endorse that. Now, number 4 is put your goals list everywhere so that we can be reminded of our goals every day. You can paste pictures and statements and deadlines of your goals on your refrigerator. Guys, I think every one of us goes to the refrigerator countless times in a day. And I think I won't believe you if you say otherwise. So that can be a place or where the wall when you wake up, the wall that you immediately see. You can post pictures there. Another great another great place to put your goals is our lock screen, the lock screen in our phones, because there is a study done And it's in a TED Talk somewhere by Blaine Olswalk. I think I pronounced that wrong. But yeah, there he says that in a day, we check our phones and we see the lock screen 110 times a day. Now, don't you think, guys, that being reminded by our goals 110 times a day will be more, will being reminded 110 times a day with our lock screen will enable our RAS to be able to more ingrain our goals into our lives, into our brains, our RAS. So that those are the guidelines. And now, how do we make deadlines work? Well, first we have to make it realistic. Like, for example, the losing weight example that I gave earlier. Well, we can't really say that we want to lose 5 kilograms of weight by tonight. That's unhealthy, and I think that's impossible. And number two, the deadline has to make you the deadline has to push you, because this instills a certain level of urgency in you that will make you want to take action now. And that is number 3, take action now. Now, we all have these hugely intimidating goals. And oftentimes when we see them, we think that we are much too small to achieve these big goals of ours. But what we do is we break these huge goals down into small bites, into action steps, smaller action steps, so that we would be able to keep our eyes on the next summit, on the next step, not on the summit. Because what this does is that it builds up more confidence in us, more belief, more expectancy. And the more we develop this, the more we see ourselves achieving those big dreams. And you know the quote, right? Like the quote, how do we eat an elephant? It is by bite by bite. So that's exactly what we do. Okay, so next chapter is to practice visualization and affirmations. Now let's read this one again. My method is different. I do not rush into actual work. When I get an idea, I start at once building it up in my imagination. I change the construction, make improvements, and operate the device entirely in my mind. And this is by Nikola Tesla. And if you don't know him, you better search, because our modern world was envisioned by him decades ago, long ago, before all of us here were even born, I think. Yeah, and that is what he does. He first envisions it in his mind. This is just like in the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. And he says there to begin with the end in mind, because everything in reality was first created in the mind. The first creation is in the mind, and the one in the reality is just the second one. So why is visualization important? It's because our brain can tell the difference between reality and fantasy. Now, this has a lot of studies to back it up now, because this is widely and strongly used by the sports community. And you can all go search it in Google. But yeah, I think you also have experienced this. Sometimes maybe when we dream. Have you ever felt like you're falling when you're not really falling? And what else are the dreams that are suddenly we just act? Well, I have an example, and it's an embarrassing one, but to give you guys a laugh. Well, I was dreaming one night that I was brushing my teeth, and the time that I was going to spit into the faucet, into the sink, sorry, into the sink. I woke up and then I realized that I spat onto my blanket. That is so weird. But that is exactly what the brain does. It can't tell between reality and fantasy. That's why it is very important that we visualize it in our minds first for the first creation to happen. And how do we do this? Well, first, you relax in a quiet spot. And I just suggest that you go and be alone somewhere where no one can disturb you, and just reflect by yourself. Imagine what you want to do. Visualize it and be as specific as possible. Be as detailed as possible as you can. And then the third step is to add yourself into the picture. And then you take action, you let yourself feel it. An example is this. Suppose we would like to relax in the beach. Well, what do? We imagine the sand everywhere and the waves coming up at your feet, and we feel the sunlight on our skin. And the next step is we add ourselves and we imagine how we look like. We're in the beach, we see ourselves, and we're feeling, and then we take action. We feel the sand under our feet, we feel the waves, we smell the breeze, we feel the sunlight. That is how we visualize. And I think that this needs to be more mainstream because it's really, really important in goal setting. Now, here's the one about affirmations, and that is a person's entire life is simply a collection of their affirmations. Yes, this is true. Negative or positive affirmations, they all form our lives. Like it's the past programming of our RAS. And what is the displacement principle? How can we reprogram ourselves? Well, our example earlier, the beach. Well, imagine that you are in the beach and you have a bucket and you place it full of water, and that becomes a bucket of water. But then you scoop some sand and then you pour it over the bucket, and then you scoop more sand and poured it into the bucket, and scoop some more sand and poured some more. And then later on, quite immediately, I might say, you will no longer have a bucket of water. You'll now have a bucket of sand. And that's the same with the RAS. Now, I can't recall if I mentioned this earlier, but the RAS is like a garden. And in our garden, we only want the plants that we want to grow there. We don't want unwanted plants. And it's just like the RAS. When we let those that we do not, those thoughts that we do not want to grow and grow and grow, well, soon after, those seeds will take root, and they would be very, very detrimental to us because we would be believing it. Remember the RAS, how it functions. It fortifies everything we believe in. And so what we do is this. Affirmations 101. One, you state your affirmations in the positive. Remember, our minds can see an image connected with don't, want, won't, or can't. So just like earlier in goal setting, we have to state in the positive. I am, or I will. Do not use I need to or I have to, because that instills a forced vibe to your affirmation. We don't want that. That's negative. And then number 3 is be specific. You should always include the deadline. Now, you'll notice that things keep repeating in this book and in this talk, and that's exactly how it is, because in repetition, the RAS functions better. When we repeat and repeat and repeat some thoughts and some principles, the more we ingrain them into ourselves. Now, this is an example of what a simple change in language can do. Remember the past programming wherein words really, really affect us? Words can hurt us more than physical wounds, and we can carry those hurtful words well into our adulthood. And so word choices are really, really important. And here, look at this. Number one is, I hope to enjoy my dinner tonight. It feels kind of maybe you'll enjoy your dinner later. I don't know. We don't know. Now, number two is, I want to enjoy my dinner tonight. Now, doesn't this feel more positive that you're excited to enjoy your dinner tonight? But we have number three, and that is, I intend to enjoy my dinner tonight. Now, this is more powerful because it says that whatever is on your plate, you are going to enjoy it. And you can try this out for yourself. You can state these statements one by one and just feel the vibe that it gives you. And there really is a difference. And so we come to the next chapter, develop new habits. We build our character from the bricks of habit we pile up every day by day. And another quote is from John Maxwell, and that is, our success is determined by our daily agenda. And really, when we think about it, what's the difference between successful people and the average people? Well, we all have 24 hours a day, and the only difference is that the successful people have certain habits that they do every single day. So it's very important to be deliberate about our thinking and action habits. The thinking is important as well. Don't disregard that. And we have to replace those that aren't working. And what do we do when we have already identified these habits that are essential in certain goals of ours? Well, number one is we practice consistency, because we have to repeat it all the time so that it will be ingrained in us, that the habit will be part of our natural routine, our comfort zone. And of course, in the beginning, it's always hard to start, but that will soon be gone if we just keep practicing the consistency. And then number two is to surround ourselves with like-minded people. Well, this is in Stephen Covey's book as well. And he says that we are the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. So you have to reflect on this. Who are these 5 people that you spend most of your time with? Because they are hugely influencing you. And I know that you guys also know that it's really important to have a positive environment of like-minded people, because for example, in exercising, would you exercise if everyone around you is a potato couch? That's harsh, but it's true. But and then the next one, would you eat healthy when everyone around you doesn't? Yeah. So it's really important to be surrounded by like-minded people so that we'd have a more consistent level type of inspiration. Okay, so my next major question is this: have you found a safe environment to grow? This is very important, you know. So you have to find that like-minded people, the like-minded community. Now we have the 8th chapter, Play the Numbers Game. There are only about half a dozen things that make 80% of the difference in any area of our lives. This is by Jim Rohn, and it's in one of his books called 7 Strategies for Wealth and Happiness. And there he talks about the basic things. His example is the farmer. And the farmer only has 6 basic things that he has to do. And those are soil, seed, water, nutrition, care, and sunlight. Yeah. And that is what, those half dozen things are what's really important for that farmer to achieve a plentiful harvest. And that's And that applies to our lives as well, the half dozen things. Now, these are the telling factors. Number one is the law of averages. And the law of averages just states that in every activity in life, if we do a few things over and over again, we would achieve relatively the same results. And the example of Allan here in the book is that when he was 11 years old, he was selling rubber sponges door to door, and his ratio, he found out that his ratio then was 10-7-4-2. He would knock on 10 doors, 7 doors would open, 4 doors would listen to his sales pitch, and 2 would buy. So let's say that he would knock on 30 doors. So he would be able to sell 6 rubber sponges. And that is predictability, you guys. Sometimes we are just too caught up in the emotions of failing, of our feelings of failure, of feeling little, that we forget that there are fundamental laws in nature that help us achieve our goals predictably, if only we continue doing them. Consistency. And so number 2 is the 80-20 principle, and that's also called the Pareto principle. And that states that 20%, the most successful results come from the small effort. And I think I kind of butchered that statement, but let me just tell you an example, and that is every day. Well, what do we do in a day? Well, most of the time we have to take care of our basic needs. We have to eat, to sleep, to take a bath, to go to the toilet, etc., etc. And only a few number of hours are spent on the really productive things, on the things that we are passionate on. And that is what it means, that 80% of the effort you do, 80% of the effort we do doesn't really matter. Only 20% yield the results. So, but you have to do the 80%, okay? You can't neglect your basic needs. Now, number 3 is the top 3%. And this just means that in every endeavor we enter in our lives, there are the top 3% of people who are successful. Now, I don't know about you guys, but if you want to learn something new, who would you listen to? It's the successful people. We would listen to them. It's just like when you are enrolling for med school, and well, would you listen to your professors, or would you listen to the dropouts of the medical school? I don't know. It's a no-brainer, guys. We have to listen to the top 3% of the successful people. And number 9 is we follow through. We don't let small minds convince us that our dreams are too big. And why do people talk us out of our goals? Well, number 1, they are worried. And these are mostly our family members and friends, and they mean well. They don't want you to get hurt, but they don't understand it's your life, it's what you want, it's what you're passionate about. And you'll have to reassure them that you're not making a mistake. This is what you want to do. And number 2 and number 3, these are more negative. People will realize that you will show them up. This means that mostly what the people reason with you, that the reasons that they say that tell you that you can't achieve your dreams, is that's their excuse. Actually, it all is upon them. really reflect on you. That's their excuse, the reason they're giving you to not do your dream. And number 3 is they become intimidated. So they pull you down. It's the crab mentality. This is just too sad, but it's true. And number 10, accept fear and worry as normal. The cave you most fear to enter has the greatest treasure. This is by Brian Tracy. And I think this is really, really true. Fear and pain is good for us. It's back then when it was important for our survival. Can you imagine if we didn't have fear and pain, we would just let our predators eat us? What would happen to our species, right? But right now in our society today, we don't have to worry about that. What fear and pain does for us is they are avenues for growth, for self-improvement, for being better versions of ourselves. And these are the 2 common failures available there. Number 1 is the fear of failure. And when you feel this, you just have to remind yourself of this quote. At the end, most people would regret not the things they did, but the things they didn't do. So you guys, we are all mortals here in this world, and we all have our expiration dates. And I think that the earlier we realize this, the better, because then we would be more appreciative of what life has to offer, of how life is an adventure. Well, would you like to experience this? You're on your deathbed, and you're filled with all the what ifs, all the regrets, or you just go ahead and just do it. The next one is the fear of rejection, and how do we tackle this? Well, ask, or the answer will always be no. For example, is that when in asking out someone for a date, well, what do you really lose when you're rejected? Okay, so I know there are feelings involved, but before you asked this person, you had no date. And after being rejected, you have no date. What's the difference? You're still in the same situation. So instead of being bitter about the rejection, let's just take it as a learning experience so that we can better improve next time. And so here are the simple ways to deal with fear. First is we take time out and breathe. We calm ourselves. Next, remind ourselves of our past wins and all the obstacles we've overcome, because oftentimes we focus on the negatives of that we see in ourselves, and that really doesn't do us any justice. And number 3, read, watch, or listen to something inspirational. Now, this is very important. Every successful people endorse this. And that is what we are going to do with the RAS. We reprogram it with more inspirational, positive thoughts so that our negative thoughts will be displaced. And number 4, call a friend who believes in you and your capabilities. Sometimes we just have to feel supported, and we have to be reminded about our capabilities, about our strengths. And we need a friend for that. And so call a friend. And number 11, we have to laugh to deal with the stress. Now, this quote is really, really good. You don't stop laughing because you grow older. You grow older because you stop laughing. Yeah. Laughing really, I don't know you guys, but I think that waking up every morning, I think that we all take that for granted. Don't you think that isn't it a miracle, guys, that we woke up today? Our loved ones woke up today. And if you realize this, well, doesn't it deserve a smile? Doesn't it deserve a simple smile or a laugh? Is better. And well, life is a celebration, and we have to realize the importance of having fun and not being too dead serious in life. Now, the book talks about researches and studies on the benefits of laughter, and they prove that laughter really is the best medicine. And these include the work of Patch Adams. And we don't have much time to talk about that tonight, but I highly suggest that you read the book, because it really offers extensive descriptions of these studies. And so this is another one. Take what you do seriously, but never take yourself too seriously. We should be able to laugh at ourselves, at our failures, at our mistakes, and we should be forgiving and kind to ourselves, because life spent being miserable isn't worth it, you guys. We have to realize that life is a celebration. And we have come to the last chapter, never give up. And this quote really blew me away when I first read this. Giving up on your goals because you had a setback is like slashing your other 3 tires when you had a flat. Now doesn't that make sense? Suppose that you have a car, and while you were driving, a tire of yours just got busted. What are you going to do? Are you going to leave your car there in the middle of the road for good? No, right? We're going to find ways to fix it, to get it moving again. And I think that you'd all agree with that. It just makes sense, right? But isn't it tragic that that's the exact opposite of what we do with our dreams, with those things that are really important to us. When we encounter the smallest obstacle, the smallest challenge, we just leave them to rot in the dust. Now, this is the last major question for tonight, and it's, have you found a vehicle to get you to the land of your dreams? Now, since we're talking about vehicles, this entered right there. And you guys, if you haven't found this vehicle yet, this way for you to achieve your dreams, it's all right. You can always use your RAS and find this vehicle and goal set so that you get closer to the land of your dreams. And when the times are rough, and life just kind of throws all these obstacles towards you, you just have to always go back to your why. Why are you doing this? Why do you want to achieve this goal? Why would you feel so bad if you won't achieve it? You have to reflect on this. And there is another successful entrepreneur, his name is Peter Cox, and he always says that the dream is everything. The dream is everything. Now, what is it that you truly want? What fires you up? What excites you? What makes you cry in the middle of the night when no one else is around and all you have for company are your thoughts? The answers to these questions are your why. And when you are experiencing these really unfortunate setbacks, you have to go back to your why. And so I'll end with this quote. Life is like a camera. Focus on what's important, capture the good times, and if things don't work out, just take another shot. And so you have been a great audience, guys. Have a good night, and I give you back to Jono.
Thank you very much for that awesome talk, Sabina, and congratulations for that. You've seen a lot of messages going to you, shout outs going to you. For those congratulations. It was a great talk, and we hope to hear you again. No, so ladies and gentlemen, this younger generation. Normally, I refer to her as a Gen Z. So the younger generation is actually giving us these insights, and for these topics, it's a lot of information and a lot of details. You can replay this entire video in the YouTube links that you're seeing or you're getting from your friend, or also on the Facebook Live. You can also do this on that replay. There's just too much to write down for the information that Sabina has shared. And for another tweet next week, there will be another career crash course brought to you by Syzygy. The co-founders have organized this, and we're going to have the next topic for this reInvent series of Syzygy. Selling is human. The truth about moving others. And that's going to be discussed by none other than the co-founder of Syzygy, is Mr. Ryan Fernandez. So may I call on Ryan to share with us a few words regarding the topic tonight, right?
Yeah, thanks so much, Jono. First of all, Sabina, that was just amazing. I was taking notes the whole time. It's like reading the book all over again. So I learned so much from your talk, and your wisdom is just I just very, very enriching for all of us. Thank you so much, Sabina. I learned so much. I hope we all learned. And you know, if you like what you heard about tonight, well, it's actually from a book, and you can read the book. In fact, all our talks this month are about reinventing yourself. And tonight, it's a long, hard look at ourselves to find out what we want and how to get it. My topic next week actually is a little bit different, but also related. If you can now comment in the chat box, maybe you can just do a little activity with me right now and just type, what is the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear the word sales? Just one word or a few words. Is it? No judgment there, but why don't you type there and I'll read out some of your answers. When you think of the word sales or selling, what do you feel? What comes to mind? Okay, so very quickly, some people are saying business, product, money. Some people are also saying pushy, quota, opportunities, influence, income, investment, livelihood, business, value proposition, fear, pushy, that's the second time I read pushy, things, opportunities, quality customer service. So we have influence, right? So you have a variety of different perceptions and different ideas when it comes to sales. My personal reaction when I hear the word selling or sales is, ew, you know, not that I don't like sales, but I was just never good at it. I just thought of myself as the wrong kind of person to become successful in sales. And next week, I want to share with you the message that selling is human. Selling is as natural as breathing for many of us. The book that I'm going to talk about is by Daniel, not David Pink, Daniel Pink. The book is a New York Times bestseller. And what he's saying, and what I want to share with you tonight, is that in the US, while only 1 out of 9 people are in sales, the other 8 are in another form of sales. And I think it's also the same for the Philippines. You may not be selling a product. Actually, today, many people are selling products online. If you notice, people are selling food, they're selling gadgets, they're selling face masks, they're selling all sorts of things online right now. But although not many of us are salespeople per se, all of us are into sales. Whether you're promoting a service, your own, you're promoting ideas to your boss or your coworkers. If you're a parent and you're selling, or a teacher, I know that we have some educators in the room tonight, or you're a doctor, you're selling your beliefs, your ideas to your children, your students, your patients. It's about influence, like some of you were saying. So it's a game changer for me when I read this book, and it's helped me a lot, not in just selling, but really in connecting with people. We'll talk about the new ways that you can actually move others, and actually find out that sometimes it's better to give people a way to get out of the proposition than try to force them into it. And that sometimes works out. So we'll talk about some new techniques from the author. We'll talk about social science, but bottom line, we'll talk about how, whether you're pitching an idea, a product, a message, yourself, whatever you're promoting, there's some, all of us are into selling. Maybe not the kind of selling you're familiar with, but a different kind of selling. And you can use it to actually improve the lives of other people. So I hope to see you next week, Thursday, same time. And feel free to share it with your friends. You can visit our Facebook, just look up syzygy.ph. Or if you saw this through Eventbrite or Meetup, where I also posted it, you'll also see that the event will be there. So that's it. And congratulations again, Sabina.
Thank you very much, Ryan. And I'd like to congratulate everyone for completing this event. And I'd like to promote another event that's going to happen tomorrow. It's called Bouncing Forward. This is one of the programs of CZG that can help you move forward or bounce forward in times of crisis. Because tomorrow night, Friday, we're going to have our speaker, the co-founder of CZG, Miss Olivia Fernandez Bernabe, talk to us about this unique project that we have. And it's quite relevant to what Sabina was asking about your why, or a vehicle that, and the environment that you could be in. So I do hope you check this out, or get back to the person who invited you to this webinar to be also included in that Bouncing Forward event tomorrow. So with that, I hope you have a great evening, and you've learned a lot. See you in the next webinar. Thank you very much.